Loggerheads again over the rejection by the debt-ridden club of an investment package worth £10 million.
I'm so concerned that if something doesn't happen, I can see that in a few years' time there'll only be one major team in Edinburgh, and that team will wear green and white.
Les talks about crisis. You know, there's a lot of clubs in Scotland would love to have our crisis. We're in third position. We've got one of the best young managers in the country, a great squad of players. We're opening a youth academy at Heriot Watt in the spring, which is only the second club in Scotland to do that.
Hearts fans don't quite know what the future holds as they prepare to bid farewell to Tynecastle. And Tynecastle is where we find Jim Spence.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Robin. The Hearts fans concerned today have certainly got a lot of strong points on the situation we saw last week. We're joined here today at the Fans Forum at Tynecastle by Martin Laidlaw, who's the chairman of the Hearts Supporters Trust, and members from that trust today. Now, guys, I think we all saw what went on last week. We revealed that there was that £10 million package. Chris Robinson came on, he rubbished it. Martin Laidlaw, firstly, what's the general view of what you saw last week?
Well, the general view from most Hearts supporters was that maybe some of it wasn't a great surprise, but it was a great shock to many of us, some of the details that emerged from the press and that particular interview. More than anything, that was a great shock that was revealed was that there was an intention to sell this stadium within 6 to 9 months. And for the majority of Hearts supporters, that is absolutely unacceptable.
I mean, is it now crucial that in a sense, the campaign, if there is to be one, starts now to keep Hearts here? And I see you've all got the shirts on today, keep our Hearts in Gorgie. I mean, is this a campaign now up and running to keep the club here?
It has to be a campaign that's up and running now, because we've already been given a timescale of 31st of July next year for Tynecastle to be sold, according to figures that have been released, annual report and the interim report that was released by the club. So this is something that not only must be up and running now, but must take off very quickly, and we're hoping that all Hearts fans will be flocking behind it as rapidly as possible.
Well, Leslie Dean seemed to be suggesting last week that if they moved to Murrayfield, it would kill the club effectively. There'd be one club left, and that was Hibs playing at Easter Road. What's the view on that? Would the move to Murrayfield kill Hearts off?
Well, it's possible, and that's frightening, isn't it? If you sell your ground now, the way prices are in Edinburgh, you could have a lot of trouble getting somewhere else.
Is this a personal spark between two men? You know, I mean, Leslie Deans has been out the picture for a couple of years. He comes back in. Chris Robinson and he obviously don't get on. What's the view of the battle between these two men?
I think at the end of the day, it's not really Chris Robinson versus Leslie Deans, because we're not really interested in personalities as such. I think what unites us in the trust and probably the whole of the support is the passion that we have for Heart and Midlothian Football Club. Yep. And that I think we always have to make it clear that whilst this is going on, we're 100% behind Craig Levine and the rest of the team in this.
How does the future look then overall? I mean, you've started the campaign to keep Hearts in Gorgie. I mean, how does the future look in terms of keeping the club here at Tynecastle, but also you've got a team in the park who are doing very, very well under the astute manager, Craig Levine?
I think the future looks good in a playing sense. There's a lot of young players coming through. We've got the youth academy. We have to get the business part of the club sorted out. And I think a lot of us are really worried that this ground is seen only as an asset in financial terms, but it's a huge asset in playing terms as well. And although I don't think we want to put our heads in the sand and say no change is ever possible, at the moment, being at Tynecastle inspires the players, it motivates the players, it creates a great atmosphere. It helps to make sure we stay in third place, maybe even go further than
I mean, Hibs have stepped back from going to, to Straighton, and they're going to stay at Easter Road now by the looks of things. I mean, is that something you want to see Hearts doing as well? Do you think that it's crucial for the development of this club?
I think it's crucial that we look at every possibility of staying at Tynecastle. If you look at Edinburgh as a whole, the regeneration that's going on is coming this way, and Gorgie is going to be one of the next areas to be part of that regeneration. Now, we can either move and not be part of it, or Hearts can try and be the centre of the regeneration with the people around here, and that's where I'd like to see the club to be.
Is there support here? We saw this battle between two men last week. Is there support for Leslie Deans? Is there support for Chris Robinson? How do you gauge that among Hearts fans?
It's neither one or the other, because the most important thing is that the support is for the club. The club is Heart of Midlothian Football Club. And that's the most important thing. And like, as far as we're concerned in the trust, it's the supporters that are the lifeblood of the club. So if it's Deans, Robinson, we actually really don't care, as we said earlier on.
The debts of the club are enormous. What about SMG? What is SMG's role in all of this?
I think, well, the SMG are obviously looking for the money from Hearts, but SMG still own a 20% share in Hearts at the moment. Is there not a conflict between the fact that they're looking for money and they're also sitting on the board that's deciding what to do to get that money? That's a question that's got to be asked as well.
Just briefly, does this keep our Hearts and Gorgie campaign? Will it go from strength to strength? Can you keep the club here?
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
100%.
Lots of passion here at Tynecastle then. The Keep Our Hearts and Gorgie campaign well and truly underway. You saw it first in Sportscene. Back to you in the studio, Rob.
Spencer attracting an all-seater capacity crowd there. Plenty for Hearts to think about off-field then at the moment, and not much to smile about results-wise either. They lost their 4th game in a row last Saturday at East End Park. Let's look back on that. Plus Rangers making hard work of it against Dundee United, and there's no good news for Dundee.